Now we have another keynote speaker for you. We have Senior Managing Counsel of MasterCard, Caroline Louveaux. Caroline, please come along. She's going to talk to us about artificial intelligence and you. Thank you.
Thank you. Are the slides up there? Yes. Okay. Where do I? Okay, thank you. So, will machines ever become smarter than humans? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world of artificial intelligence. But what is artificial intelligence? Well, artificial intelligence, or AI, is the development of computing systems to perform tasks that mimic human intelligence. So to understand artificial intelligence, we need to first understand human intelligence, how we as humans we learn, and how we in turn we have taught machines to learn. How did we get there? Well, the computing programs has allowed the processing of an increasing amount of information that is then articulated into algorithms. And those algorithms do what the human brains excels at: decision making. Think about it every day, every moment. We, as humans, we make decisions. Which road to take to get to the conference? Which taxi to take? How to navigate traffic? Think of all the millions of decisions that make up a normal day of a human. And think of the possibility to have all those decisions made by machine instead. This can be done with a vast amount of information and vast amount of computing power. Once you have both, then the first generation of artificial intelligence is possible. Because now the machines can learn by themselves without being explicitly programmed, by being exposed just to new data, and by learning through trial and error. The first approach to privacy laws comes from Dr. Alan Weston, which stated that each individual is continually engaged in a personal adjustment process, where he balances the desire for privacy with the desire for disclosure and communication. This view was very much consistent with the technologies in 1960. But you know what? It still applies today. We are still engaged in a continuously balancing of our need for privacy in today's digital world. And in the world of artificial intelligence, it will require yet another wave of rebalancing. AI is really a disruptive technology, right? It creates values for people, for corporations, and for society, but it also requires due diligence because it creates concerns. And one of the key challenges of the technology and of AI is that it's harder and harder for humans to be engaged in the decision-making. So as any new technology, AI creates tension between, on the one hand, privacy, and on the other, innovation. AI, on the one hand, can create significant benefits for society. And just to name a few, it can enhance healthcare by creating personalized medicine. It can also enhance safety, security, it can improve education. It could help also with disaster prevention and response. MasterCard also participates in AI. What we do is we leverage the AI technology to assist our customers, which are the banks, to fight against fraud. And so the smart technology that we've built examines how a specific card or a specific payment device is being used over time to detect any abnormal spending behavior. And it then provides a predictive score to your bank, which has issued your MasterCard card, for them to take action. And these are just a couple of examples, because AI will create new innovations that we cannot foresee yet. So AI can and will make the world better. However, without healthy prudence, AI can also lead to unfairness and inappropriate results. Because think about it, AI requires the use of vast amount of data. And in the age of big data, it was still possible for us, as privacy professionals, to review all the data sources and to review all the algorithms that were created. But with AI, more data sources and more algorithms will be used, and they will be combined in new ways inside of a machine, in ways that may not have been intended, in ways that may create new risks, such as hidden discrimination. So let's take the example of connected cars. In a recent report of the European Parliament, it's being stated, and I'm quoting, "Automated systems often operate more safely than humans. The low number of airplanes accidents is also the result of planes being flown by computers most of the time. Knowing that 90% of all car accidents are caused by human error, connected and automated driving promises to bring these safety benefits to our roads." So with this type of statistics, and with all of us knowing about all the road injuries and death around the world, we should all be excited to move to connected cars, right? But is it that easy? So how do connected cars really work? You have numerous sensors and algorithms that are being built into the cars to mimic our human brain. And the outcome of such algorithms is a series of binary questions or if-then equations. So let me give you a couple of examples. If the traffic light turns red, then the car stops. If the road is wet, then the car slows down. If there's a lot of traffic on the road, then the car takes distance with the other cars. So far, so good, right? But you are being asked to make a lot more complex decisions when driving to keep you and others safe. Let's say that you arrive at the intersection, the light is green, but at the very last minute, a kid playing with a ball is crossing the street. And depending on how you steer your car, you could either hit the kid, or hit the old man, or hurt yourself because of the big truck over there. So this raises a couple of questions around liability and responsibility, but also ethical challenges, very close to privacy. And so over the past couple of decades, algorithms have been built, and they have started to learn from each other, which may result in unintended consequences. So let me give you another example. As we've seen, Mastercard is very active in the fight against fraud. Well, we have developed algorithms to determine that a merchant is behaving in a fraudulent manner. We've also built algorithms to identify the geographical areas with the highest rate of fraud. Let's imagine that we may want to combine those algorithms so that they can learn from each other with the objective to better fight against fraud. Makes sense, right? Well, the outcome of such a combination could actually have unintended consequences. We could end up in a situation where all the people living in certain areas could be identified as potential fraudsters, and hence could be denied credit from their bank. It's not exactly what we meant. In other cases, the unintended consequences could actually result in the fact that discrimination is being built into the algorithms themselves. You may have heard of the investigation that revealed that a software used to predict crime or to predict recidivism in criminals has shown bias against Black people. Another study found that women were less likely than men to be shown ads for highly paid jobs. So we may not forget that AI systems are being built and created by humans who may be biased and judgmental. And so it's key to be very vigilant about how we design those machine learning systems and all the systems incorporating AI. But how does the law today address AI? Well, the new generation of laws, including the GDPR, introduces the concept of accountability. And so companies have to comply with the law and have to be able to demonstrate compliance. And so as part of accountability, companies have to designate a data protection officer. They have to implement a privacy by design and privacy by default. And for those activities which qualify as high risk, they must conduct a data protection impact assessment. On top of that, the GDPR introduces the concept of a risk-based approach. So, for example, a company, instead of obtaining the consent from the individual, could perform a balance of interest test, where it takes all the interests into account, including the rights and freedoms of the individuals. And if the company wants to make decisions about people based solely on automated processing, then additional safeguards are being required. Well, both those concepts are very much welcome. But the question is it sufficient? Is it sufficient in an AI world where decisions are being made by machines without the intervention of people? Even further, is it possible that companies would comply with the letter of the law, but still would be found to behave in an unethical way? In other words, how to ensure that companies not only comply with the law, but also do the right thing. We need to interject ourselves into the systems, and we need to create new accountability. Each organization should actually define its ethics that are best linked to its business strategy. And those ethics need to be defined in terms of values and guiding principles that have to be translated into the organization principles, processes, and systems. As we've seen, the systems themselves make decisions about people. Remember the connected car, which decides to stop in order to avoid the collision with a kid. And those systems, they make decisions based on the objectives that are set by humans. So it's critical to build ethics into those objectives by considering the full range of benefits, risks, interests, and rights of all external stakeholders, including obviously the individuals themselves and society as a whole. And so it's key to also build and address those ethics when coding to verify that the algorithms do the right thing, that they work as planned. It's key to address ethics when discovering or implementing new insights. Systems have to be reviewed end to end. It's no longer sufficient to review every single algorithm separately at one point of time. A holistic review is needed because, as we've seen, the combination of data and the combination of algorithms can create unexpected outcomes, which can range from very positive insights to hidden discrimination. And so the privacy engineers, the program developers, they will have to receive additional training to be able to spot those unintended consequences before that AI is being deployed. And that review has to happen over and over again because, as we've seen, the algorithms will continue to learn from each other, and they will continue to generate new and unpredictable results. In order to make sure that the review is done with competence and integrity, an organization could also reach out to external expertise. And we've seen a couple of organizations going into that direction by setting up an ethics committee, which is composed of external stakeholders which are consulted on ethical challenges. And a member of that committee could actually participate in the design and the development of those new products involving AI. There's also a need for enhanced transparency. Today, companies are being required to be very open and transparent about what data they use, how they use it, etc. But an organization should also seek mechanisms to explain how the benefits and the risks to individuals are being identified and assessed, and how an individual can participate in that process and object if appropriate. And then an organization should be ready to communicate about the values that govern the decision-making process. And then obviously an organization has to be ready to demonstrate its enhanced accountability. So this is going to be a wholly new world for us, for the industry, but also for regulators. And together, as a privacy community, we need to move forward towards this ethics by design. And it will be a long journey, right? It's not going to be easy, but it's worth the effort. It's our future, and it's ours to create. Are you ready? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Caroline. You've given a great deal of insight into potential problems and solutions. But let me ask you this question of ethics. You mentioned cars and then self-driving cars. I mean, how much can we put the responsibility on the makers of those cars or the makers of those products, and how much on the users? Do you see some sort of trade-off or balance necessary there?
Well, as I said, I think actually it's up to everybody. Actually, I mean, you have heard my speech, right? I think every organization should actually take its responsibility and really build ethics or privacy into the design of all those solutions and review. You cannot expect actually users to fully understand how it's. I mean, honestly, I'm taking the plane to come to Stockholm. I'm super scared every time. I have no idea how it works. I hope actually that the manufacturers of those planes know what to do to keep me safe.
Yeah, well, I hope so as well, obviously. I mean, what I'm trying to get at is, do we need to educate differently people to understand? I mean, should we be teaching kids in schools about these ethical questions?
Yes, I think there's definitely a need for everybody to better understand data and the implications actually that comes from privacy and to ethics. Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you very much. That's going to lead us on very nicely to our next speaker. Thank you, Caroline.